Hey there, everybody. It's RCK, and I'm glad to have you back here again for our next episode in our Dominions of Middle Earth mod we have going on here. Been in talks with the mod. I don't know if he's just kind of the person kind of directing everyone. I know he works on it a lot as well. I don't know. I think he's just more of a lead at this point. Of course, I know he puts a lot of work into it as well, but I think he's the lead modder at this point. I believe. I don't know if he works on it exclusively, but I do talk back and forth with him a lot. And of course, we're going over his mod, and I do quite enjoy it. And I'll already tell you, we're going over Mordor for this episode here. And I do love this flag here, the one ring on top. Looks very, very nice. So, as for starting units here, you get one of the Haradrim Priests, which is a Priest level 2, Blood 2. And then you have a Mordor Orc Captain here. Um, you start with a Citadel. We'll just look at the units here instead of going to the kind of other map. Produces 2 Death Gems here from Mordor. Decreases Unrest by 15. That's actually pretty good too. Construction bonus of 15. And then you get 3 fire and 2 earth. I've been speaking to him back and forth. I believe he will be taking these construction bonuses off of the caps here. Um, he did say that it was a little more broken now that he thought about. He originally thought that it was going to be used for things like construction globals at this point. I don't know how many construction globals you have. Because I know I believe, I mean, there's Forge of Ancients, there's Gift of Rings, Gift of Rings, Mighty Leaders of Men, and bend them to the will of Nazgul. So that's quite interesting. I'd wonder what that actually does. But he was going to use those sites to help you with kind of these spells here, of course. But I think he might be taking those off. Not entirely sure on that, so it might be changed by the time you look at the mod. Other than that, let's go ahead and look at we did look at both of them. Let's look. I need to go to statistics at the Pretenders, and we'll click on Mordor. And we're going to do a quick look at this nation here. I know we just kind of glanced at it when we did the kind of showcase for the mod, but this I definitely want to look at every unit we have here. And of course, we have a lot. It says now this is the second age. This isn't third age yet, so you keep that in mind. Um, so this is kind of the remnants of Angband, which was the first age kind of evil nation at this point. Says not all evil things spawned there and destroyed. Many escaped out to the east. Of course, you have the Haradrim and the Easterlings. That's what they're kind of mentioning by that. Now Mordor grows into a powerful nation of its own and brings new allies of other kingdoms hungry for power. Mordor is ready to march out in the world and claim it. So, been in talks a little bit with them. I don't think they'll have a Haradrim and an Easterling release until they release the Third Age, which will have most of the evil nations in it. And I think once they have them kind of flushed out in the Third Age, they will start implementing them into the Second Age for those other 2 evil classes. I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of our talks back and forth. I do expect to see them in the Third Age once that is released, though. And of course, we'll be looking at this mod again once that happens. So we have a lot of different types of orcs here. We've already spoke to them about a couple of them, but let's go ahead and start looking at the Mordor orc. Right off the bat, 7 gold, 7 resources, 5 recruitment points. Of course, you want this to be a chaff unit. They're undisciplined, they're slaves. They have dark power and dark vision 50. I think I talked to him a little bit about, did he necessarily want them to be fighting in darkness? I mean, do they have total night vision, or whether or not, because the dark power is going to help their skills, but the dark vision 50, if you're actually fighting in darkness, will also lower them at the same time. So it's like, kind of balance them both out, I guess. But attack skill of 8, defense skill of 10, strength of 12. Not too bad. Now we do have a scimitar here that has weak poison, armor negating. Okay. Not sure if you want. I mean, this is a extremely heavy poison if all your units are going to have poison, which I mean, I understand. Okay, I'm sure they're poisoning their weapons, things like that. But there was also something that I noticed with a different mod. I'm not trying to compare the two, not saying one's better than the other, but it was a kind of a mechanic that was used, which I found was very interesting. And it almost it could be implemented here to kind of just show you like orc rabble at that point, being they're not all the same. Maybe a few of them might have poison weapons, some might have regular weapons, some might have a different kind of weapon. But what it was, so you click on your unit, so you're making all the same units. Okay, you click, they're supposed to be all the same, but once they're actually created, you could have up to 4 different versions of them being different, like mutated creatures. You can have that singular unit that you originally purchased. You could have like one that have 2 axes. You could have one that had like a tentacle and it just had. I don't know if they had a regular hand weapon. Other than that, I don't know how that is necessarily implemented into the game, but I thought that was a really really cool mechanic, and I think that would add a lot to kind of your variety to your orcs here to kind of show them as this is kind of a. I mean, this isn't like a full maintained force. This is just rabble put together because I mean these are just the orcs. They're your chaff. They're your slaves. They're going to be just thrown at the walls, of course. And I mean, having attack skill of 8 is fine, I feel, for that slave unit. But until 10 is fine since they do have an iron shield. Protection 11 for a slave is pretty good, so I do agree with the 7 gold, 7 resources, 5 recruitment points, fine. Pillager is fine, Wasteland Survival is fine. I don't know. I just don't know about completely having all the units here having poison, because if we look at like the next unit here, this other Mordor orc, this one's poisoned as well. And this is strong poison. Wow, that's actually pretty powerful. If you do put any poison, I'd say put weak poison on them all, because I mean, strong poison on a 7 gold, 7 resource, 5 recruitment point person here. I mean, this is really good. If you're not playing with anything that has poison resistance, if you're not casting poison ward, this is going to be dealing damage to them, especially dealing pierce 15 damage. I mean, that's cutting 25% of the armor off. Even though their attack skill of 8, being size 1, you're going to be able to put 6 guys into a square. They're going to be having so many attacks going off into the other square that it's going to be very, very hard for the unit not to get hit. On top of that, it's going to be really hard for them to be harassed down at that point, because, I mean, defense skill of 10, okay, but you're having 6 to a square. Being your slave and chaff unit, you're going to see a whole lot of them here, so they're going to fill up a majority of the squares. So you're going to be able to get more attacks off on the units just because you probably have the more numbers at that point. And there's a good chance that this 15 damage pierce attack is going to be going through their armor and then dealing 15 poison damage here. That is very strong. Okay, that's very strong. If anything, I mean, if you want to keep them as poison, I would recommend putting them to weak poison, because this is just a slave unit. Because honestly, if I had a choice between the two, I would probably pick the Mordor Orc here that had the 15 poison, strong poison, probably every day versus this Mordor Orc, honestly. Even though this one does 19 damage, okay, good, but that's weak poison versus strong poison. That's a very large amount extra there. And then the spear over the scimitar, um, you're adding just 4 damage from the scimitar. Of course, the spear is going to be taking 20% off of the protection, so you're more likely to hit through protection units. Even though the scimitar is higher damage at the same time, they're about averaged out about the same thing. And then on top of that, you have to consider, yes, it is going to be a link 3 weapon. You have strength of 12, so the strength does have to do with your repel ability. I think it's strength and attack skill. And then also the length. I think those are all taken in consideration when you're repelling. Whereas a scimitar is not going to be able to repel anything. So that was only kind of adding here to this poison tip spear orc, definitely making it your go-to chaff unit. Next we have the Mordor Orc Tracker. They have a short bow and a spear. Very nice. Okay, don't see any poison here, which is good. They have a patrol bonus 1. Honestly, I take the patrol bonus off. Undisciplined's fine. Slave is fine. Unrest of 2.2 is fine. Resource, okay, they dropped in protection, so I see the lower decrease cost in resource. That's fine. Recruitment still at 5, good. And skill 7, that's fine to me. It is a stealthy unit at this point, if I remember correctly. These are not stealthy. Yes, they're not stealthy. So you have a nice stealthy raider short bow unit if you want to. If I remember correctly, the mages in this are also fire, so you have a good reason to go for flaming arrows. if you're able to mass up, if you're able to mass up short bows in this way, because these are very, very cheap. Like these are, I'd honestly have to go and look up what pygmy archers are, because I mean they're rivaling pygmy archers at this point. Let me go ahead and look at that real fast. Mod inspector. I probably won't switch to screens. I'll just leave it on this Mordor tracker here for the moment. Items, units. Uh, Pygmy. There we go. So 5 gold, 2 resources. Okay, not entirely sure on what the recruitment cost is, but they're almost rivaling pygmy archers at this point, especially being size 1 as well. Um, just 2 more gold and 2 more resources. So keep that in mind. That might be a very good unit for you to use in the sense of flaming arrows and stuff like that if you have the ability to cast them. And that's only at enchantment 4, so that is very, very good. They also have Dark Vision 50, Undisciplined, and Dark Power, so you can keep that in mind. But yeah, I'd probably take the patrol bonus off of them. I just don't feel like orcs are very good patrollers. And of course we'll talk about the patrol bonus thing later on as well. We have some other things to talk about that. So that was the tracker. Now we look at the Mordor Orc Archer here, and these have poison. Honestly enough, yeah, strong poison. Woo, woo wee, yeah. I would take. Okay, the dagger has strong. The bow has weak. I'd probably take the poison tipped arrows, but still, like maybe if you could do the recruitment thing of maybe possibly having a low chance of starting to to get these. I don't know, maybe a 10 or 20% chance off your recruitment of getting poisoned weapon units. That could possibly be a way if you want to keep the poison around. I just thought that was a neat mechanic from another mod that I saw. Their cost the same. So, I mean, honestly enough, if their cost the same, I would have no reason to want to buy these Mordor Orc trackers, honestly. If the poison bows will be dealing the same amount of damage, the same cost, but they have extra poison damage on top of that. Because as far as I'm not entirely sure about the rest of your nations and Dominion's Middle Earth, but as far as normal units go in the game, which you're supposed to, or vanilla game as far as that, because they're supposed to be kind of made to go with those, you're not going to have many units that have natural poison resistance on them. And if you do, either you're going to have to be casting that with Poison Ward, or you're going to have to be casting that with, or you having that on your Bless, of course, and you're only using Sacreds at that point. So you have to keep things like that in mind. So of course, I think the poison, all these poison weapons, I think are a little much. But I mean, this is just an outsider looking in at the mod. You have to take that into consideration as well. I've never played the mod. I'm not sure how well it plays. But these are just my opinions of it as we go through this nation here. And I love all of the work you've put into all of the description for all these units. It is really great. And I do like that all the orcs do cause unrest. I do like that ability too. So here we have the Mordor Warg Riders. 10 gold, 6 resources, 13 recruitment points. I assume that once the rider dies, you still have the wolf. So they are size 2. Okay. I was thinking about that. I was like, would they leave them size 1 or have them size 2? Because of course I know the warg is of course much larger than the orc itself. Defense skill of 18, attack skill 8, strength of 12. With a poison tip spear, with strong poison. Okay, well, I'm going to just say we'll consider that with the rest of the things we talked about prior to this. And then you also have a bite attack. And they're slaves. 4 gold to upkeep a year. They're stealthy. Pillager 3. Oh, protection 9. I would almost say you might want to have a gold increase cost in this because I don't even know. Let me check something. Who do I want to check? Okay, so even like the Wolf Brothers and things like that, as far as the vanilla game goes. I mean, they're at 20 gold per Wolf Rider there. I mean, yes, they do have much higher defense skill, being 16 versus 13. They also have 2 more attack skill. But, I mean, this is a unit that you'll be able to do en masse, obviously, with just 10, 4 upkeep a year, so it's going to be divided by 12 for every turn. That more than likely have a dying shape of a wolf. Might want to push that gold increase there. Not saying by too much, maybe 15 or so. But yeah, being a slave unit like this, yeah, sure, their morale is 8, but due to you being having fire paths, things like that, there's plenty of items that you're going to be able to make, or fire and earth. There's plenty of items you're able to make to kind of counteract that low morale by just giving them inspirational. Like, I think you can easily go up to like inspirational 4 plus 4. So I mean, at that point you're looking at around 12. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a little bit above average. I mean, these are 2 good attacks here, so keep that in mind as well. These are very good attacks. Next, we have the Haradrim Warrior. Scimitar 17 damage, 13 gold, 13 resources, 10 recruitment points, hit points of 10. So this is a normal size human here, 10, 10, 11, and 12 as far as attack and defense go. So a little bit above average there, but average strength. Wasteland Survival, bronze here as far as their armor. And honestly, I do really like this unit. I feel like it's balanced very well. Having a decent weapon here. Kind of low as far as attack density, but I think as far as a human unit, I feel like it's well costed. Protection of 10 being 13 resources. That sounds fine to me. 10 recruitment points. This is a very baseline unit you have here, so that is always good to see. Not too much to say, but I do like that unit. I don't feel like there's anything too broken with it. Next, we have the Mordor Guard here. Can only be recruited in your capital. So let's see what we have here. Steel size 1, 13 gold, 10 resources, 21 recruitment points. So, of course, these guys are harder to come by. But they are going to be your sacreds. They're magical beings. Why are they magical beings? Part of an experiment in Awakening God, wild set orcs and numerous and strong. Even at best times. Training, plenty on. Cool, okay. So they're more like an experimental force. They have morale 50, so it looks like they're never breaking. Well, they're mindless, that's why. Okay, yeah. So okay, that makes sense. Protection 13, good. Average skills and attack. Strength is very high, of course, but the modder here told me that, of course, orcs were known for being very, very strong. Um, we have decent armor here. At least we have a helmet and a shield. We have a poison scimitar, dealing weak poison. Okay, I can kind of get behind that. Honestly, this doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a very, very cheap sacred. Mm, but of course, with Mordor, of course, you're gonna want just very, very cheap units. So I don't know. I feel like I can kind of get around this one. Dark Vision 50 is nice. Dark Power 2, because this guy's going to be wanting to be fighting in darkness. Don't know how much you'll be able to move around with magical beings here. I don't, because we haven't looked at the mages yet, so we'll keep that in mind. But yeah, this is a very nice size 1 sacred that you can have here. Might even be worth increasing the cost of him though. That's the only thing about it, because 13 is just so low, and you have to think. I mean, okay, yeah, they can only be recruiting your capital, of course, good. But I assume you'll be taking kind of higher Dominion. Not entirely sure, but yeah, these guys are just so cheap. I think you'll be able to just crap them out every turn. Next we have the Great Orc. It can only be recruited in the capital too. Okay. Each time, adversary. Okay, so I mean, yes, you have some competition here for your capital recruitment. Heritage is larger and stronger than any kind of Middle Earth. Corrupted many spirits. Cool. So 15 gold, 16 resources, 21 recruitment points. So same amount of recruitment points, a little bit higher on gold and resource cost. But, I mean, attack skill 12, defense skill 12, good. Strength 16, good. Protection 12, average. MR's up a little bit. Morale's up a little bit. Size 2 units with 13 hit points. They have dark power, dark vision, 100%. So they're going to be doing very well inside of darkness. I mean, I guess this truly depends on if you are taking a strong bless or not. Which one of these you would want to pick. I mean, if you're going more scales, I'm not entirely sure on what, of course, you'd be wanting as far as a build goes for this. But if it was possible, you took scales or you took anything else that really didn't really depend on your bless, there'd be really no point of getting the sacred versus the great orc. I feel, um, because I feel like you're gonna be limited by recruitment points at this point. But this guy is just so much cheaper still. I mean, mindless is good. Morale 50 is good because they're not gonna break. They're size one. Lots of things to think about there. Next, we have the Blacklock Soldier. Uh, Four of the great dwarf houses begin in the east. So it looks like dwarves that have turned to the dark side. It has joined the evil nations here, fighting for Sauron, of course. Cool, cool. So we have 18 gold, 18 resources, 26 recruitment points. So does it say? Okay, so they can be recruited anywhere. Good. They have bad formation fighter. That kind of sucks because they are size one units. But 18 protection is very nice. 13 hit points. Decent stats. Kind of average defense skill. Thought maybe it had been brought up a little. Well, probably was brought up a little bit there with the shield. But attack skill good. Strength is fine. Kind of high in recruitment and resource side, but probably just due to the fact of them being hard to come by. I doubt there's many of them, and then of course you are having 18 protection at this point. Oh, possibly even increasing that resource up to I don't know. I don't know if you mess with that or not. Yeah, fire resistance 5, very good. Just always great to have. They are gluttonous though, so that kind of sucks. But they have castle defense bonus, dark vision 50, reinvig. What? Reinvig 2 on encumbrance 6 unit here, so I mean, you're taking down a little bit. That's actually pretty nice. So usually reinvig isn't something you come by either, as far as vanilla units go. So keep that in mind. Don't know if you want to take reinvig off. Nag dealing 20 damage. Good. Okay. Too bad they're bad formation fire. Which I mean, at this point, I guess it's do need a downside to some of these units, of course. Next, we have the Haradrim Horsemen. They have a scimitar and a hoof attack here. Don't know if you want to have them with a lance or not. Because if you do put them with a lance, I do think that the gold and resource costs need to be well, not necessarily resource, maybe a little bit in resource, but definitely gold costs if you add a lance to them. I just don't remember how often the Haradrim had lances and things like that. They do look kind of more like a. There's the I would assume that they would have had a scimitar with them, yes. But other than that, I mean, defense skill 60. I mean, this is just your normal. I mean, this. I wouldn't say heavy cav. This is more of like a mid tier, almost light cav unit still. Being only 13 protection, but still a very good unit. It's always good to have a little bit of cav that you're able to use just for to be able to go around and flank pretty fast. So that is very good. Next, we have the Hound of Sauron here. Can only be recruited in your capital. 15 recruitment points, 1 resource, 25 gold. They have cold resistance, poison resistance, snow move, stealthy, far survival. They are an animal. Patrol bonus of 10 and dark vision 50 with a venomous bite that's dealing weak poison. Um, and they are sacred as well. Patrol bonus of 10 is kind of insane. But like if you wanted to keep patrol bonus on them, I would almost put it like 3. Because I probably wouldn't even put it at 5. Like I'd probably leave it at like 3. So because this is a very, very, very high patrol bonus unit here, and it is a sacred that you're able to use as well. Very cheap sacred on that, as far as that goes as well too. 28 hit points. That's a lot of hit points. Size 3, protection of 6. Magical resistance 15. Wow, that's very, very high magical resistance for a animal unit. As far as most animals go, the downside to them is Once a player reaches a certain kind of research level, they're able to do like charm animals, shit like that. So they're able to charm animals really easily, and that's why animals fall off in the late game. Versus, I mean, of course, you can use elephants and things like that in the early game and different animals, but and once you kind of hit that late game point, they kind of really fall off due to their low magical resistance and then being animals. Magical resistance of 15 seems very, very high. I feel like that needs to be toned down a little bit. Morale 14 is fine. I mean, I'm not too bothered by the high morale here, but they are sacred. Um, Having resistances on units are great. I'm surprised to see that it has cold resistant. Well, I mean, I guess it's some kind of hound or wolf type unit here, but still, surprised to see both of these resistances on them. But yeah, I'd definitely knock that patrol bonus down by a bit. Other than that, let's go on to our Easterling Chariot. A very, very cool unit we have here, cool model. 40 gold, 16 resources, 40 recruitment point. As far as chariots go, especially a size 4, I mean, I think this is around average as far as cost and resource and recruitment points go. Yeah, honestly, I think this is about average, if I remember correctly, because I played Arco a little bit lately. Um, and I think Hinoms are, of course, I think Hinoms are more expensive than this, but they have better chariots. But yeah, I think this is about average as far as that goes. I think this is a good charioteer unit that you have. 10 hit points, size 4, protection of 11. I mean, you're really wanting them just for the trampling at that point. Decent defense skill, attack skill doesn't really matter because you're not really going to be hitting with the spear that much. You're going to be trampling. That's the main point of this unit. And I think this is a very nice unit that you have here. A tool that you're able to use. And almost honestly, I mean, you could probably do like chariot expansion almost. I guess depending on the scales and how things are and whatnot, but chariot expansion works. Next, we have the Nala Nardu. Now, this is the Numenor, Black Numenors or Black Numenorians. So, what does it say here? Can only be recruited in coastal forts, but they are sacred. Oh, okay. So this is very interesting here. So it looks like you have a recruit anywhere being a coastal fort sacred. Now that is very, very strong. Um, because of that point, just in this game here, we could put forts along here. We could put forts along any of these provinces here. And they're all going to be coastal forts. Now, every one of these forts are going to be able to create sacreds. So, that's very interesting. Not sure on how you want to use that. Not unless you do want to be seeing so many sacreds and you want people to play that way. But I do want you, just kind of letting the modern know, just keep that in mind. So, can be recruited to any coastal forts. Yeah, so these are very, very good units here. Protection 16, defense skill 16. You're looking at defense skill like Cav defense skill here. Attack and strength look good. Hit points of 13, 27 gold, 24 resource, and 32 recruitment. Of course, they're hard to come by, but they are affliction resistant. Good. Probably take the patrol bonus off. Not needed. Dark vision of 50 is fine. And they're sacred, so they'll take whatever bless. They have a broadsword dealing 18 slash damage. They have a kite shield along with a half helmet here. So it does give them quite a bit of protection against arrows. Um, Magical resistance of 11, morale of 12. This is a good unit, especially have, I wouldn't necessarily say recruit anywhere, but by saying coastal forts, uh, that's almost like recruit anywhere, because at this point you're going after coastal areas at that point, and you want to be by a coast. You will fight towards the coast, so you can start your production of these nice sacreds as much as possible. That could definitely be a game plan all on its own. So very interesting. So I don't know how you necessarily want to use this unit and keep them in, but not have them as overwhelming. Almost by not making them sacred, I almost feel like, and just having this as a coastal recruit unit. Even though they are extremely nice units, I understand their background is very unique to Mordor here. But yeah, this would be a great unit. Like I would build forts all along the coast, and I would be pumping those guys out if I could. Because I mean, honestly, at that point, why would I even look at orcs when I could be making these guys? You know, especially taking whatever bless that I do decide to take. That's the point. I mean, of course, you can have these orcs as chaff, but Damn, most of my army would be these Black Númenóreans right there. So next we will look at the Mordor Captain. Now this is just a leadership 60 unit. You really won't be getting any bonuses off of it. Only having 2 squads. I'd take the patrol bonus off. Pillager 1 Wasteland looks good. Dark Vision, Dark Power looks fine. Taskmaster of 2, because so this is going to be a unit that is going to be moving slaves around. Now I wouldn't necessarily say you would want him leading slaves himself, because he is a slave, and once he starts running, your slaves are going to run. So that's really up to you on how you decide to use your slaves. Because honestly, you might almost use the Haradrim Chieftain, get the bonus on the leadership here of +1. I mean, that already kind of adds, that's already one of the Taskmaster points here for him. And you just kind of boost them up to what they were, I think, at 9 or 8 morale, boost them up 1 more. And just have a unit here that you can take more slaves on, while also having a more reliable unit from dying. Other than that, he might be able to take a hit or two, having protection 13. He can hit him back pretty hard if he does come into combat. And I doubt he's going to be running away as much with morale of 13. So that is interesting, something to think about. Here we have the Blacklock lore. Now this is the Dwarven unit here. He has fear. Hold on, we'll look at these first. 85 gold, 19 resources, 2 recruitment points. 19 protection, size 1. 15 magical resistance, 13 morale, 80 leadership. Bad formation fighter. But he is a recruitable lord that can be recruited anywhere, that has fear 5, fire resistance, a gluttony 1, castle bonus, dark vision, reinvig 2. 407 Mordor. I don't necessarily get why he has the fear 5, because fear is a very I wouldn't necessarily say powerful, but it is very, very useful ability in some scenarios, and it's not something you see on many units in the game, just like how we did see a lot of units that had awe, and I get his reasoning behind awe, but that is a very, very costly blessed, even put on sacreds, and there's, I mean, off the top of my head, I think of like 2 or maybe 3 units that you can buy that have awe, just as the base. Cast defense bonus reinvig, so this is the same thing as the other ones. Honestly, I'd probably just take the reinvig off of the dwarves, but I don't know. Next we have a spy. Always good to have a spy. You have a holy 1 spy, so possibility of this being a stealthy preacher, possibly. You're also able to get score graphs and things like this because they are a spy. To say score graph, additional info when hiding in lands can steal uprising. I think spies can do that. I can't remember. 100 gold, 5 resources, 2 recruitment points. Spies of Mordor are trained to spread more than just unrest in the enemy lands. However they go, they bring dark presence of their god with them. Okay, so I get the reasoning behind this. Kind of high, but I guess you're paying for the spy and the holy 1 at this point. So, and stealthy 60 is nice. So those are cool. Good to have a spy or some kind of unit that you can use to sneak around with. Next we have a Mordor Orc Sorcerer, so it looks like we're going into mages here at this point. 90 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points, okay. Causes 0.5 unrest a turn. I'd take the patrol bonus off. They are slave though, ooh. So, but 36 gold per year, I guess that's due to them not being sacred. That's kind of why they're at where they are. 6 recruitment points, or 6 research points per turn. You have a chance to random either fire, so you have a death fire, a death 2, or a blood death. And honestly, those, maybe not necessarily the fire death one, but death 2 is going to be very, very nice for Horde of Skeletons. Blood will be nice for Sabbaths and so on. So yes, this is a very nice unit you have here, very low costing. Of course, it's a slave, so it has a very low amount of upkeep, so it's very, very nice. Quarterstaff stuff doesn't matter as much. Leather armor. So next we have the Easterling Sorcerer. And now this is a chassis that already has the fire death on it. Okay, a little bit more gold. I'm looking at about 25 more gold here. I mean, we don't necessarily need to look at the skills, but we will look at the randoms here. Ooh, so you have a 100% chance of either getting a fire 2, death 2, fire 1, or a blood 1, fire 1, death 1. So kind of the same thing with the mortar one, but this is just a mage that's going to have another extra path on it. Then there's a 10% chance to random additional one of those paths on top of that. And honestly, I would probably still stick to the Mordor sorcerer just due to the fact of how much lower upkeep. I feel like we would want them more as a kind of our research monkeys at that point. Even though this one, the how do I want to put this? The castle turns or research points compared to castle turns will of course be better for this, but the upkeep is just so much more expensive. And I'd almost say like yes, necessarily since this is could be possibly a better combat mage. I mean, you're still going to be getting only a Def 2 or a Fire 2 or a Blood 1. It's going to be the same thing as the Orc Sorcerer, basically, because that extra 1 fire is not really that important. I would much rather have Death or Blood random. So I would definitely be looking towards getting the Mordor Sorcerers more. Next, we'll look at the Haradrim Priest. 165 gold. They're priest level 2, kind of low upkeep due to them being sacreds here. And they're blood mages level 2. These guys look like they're going to be very, very nice blood hunters for you. Of course, any blood randoms you get before that could be used as well, but I mean, recruitable blood 2s, priest 2s, I mean, you could do Sabbaths. These are super easy holy 3s. That you can use in the bless, you can use them on our divine blessing, and of course, this can be great for blood hunting. You put a rod on them, this is great. I mean, oh, and you also do blood sacrifice too. So I didn't must have missed that. What does it say? I thought normally it said it on here. But from the looks of it here, adept in blood sacrifice, so you're able to perform the sacrifice to push your dominion out. So that's very, very nice as well. But I mean, you don't really have to worry. I see it says something doesn't deal with military affairs. I mean, normally enough for priest units like this or blood mages like this, I mean, you don't really care about their leadership. Next, we see a vampire here. Quite interesting. It can only be recruited in the capital. 50 gold. Skills, fine, okay. Very high magical resistance for an animal. I don't know if you're trying to counteract the usage of animals as far as the game goes on, but so they're assassins. I'd probably take the patrol bonus off. I'd probably take the siege bonus off too. Why do they have a siege bonus? Wrath, escape ruins. Good scouts and assassins from Mordor. Huh. So yeah, I'd probably take castle defense bonus off. I'll take siege bonus off. I'd take patrol bonus off. Definitely patrol bonus 10. That's crazy. Um, and then the rest of this looks fine. Animal assassin, need not to eat, flying. Yeah, that looks fine. Only 2 miscellaneous slots. I don't know how much you're going to use. I also don't have any path for assassination, so I keep that in mind as well if you're using them for assassination. Next, you have the werewolf chieftain here. Sacred, cold resistance, poison resistance, so basic chassis as the other units, other werewolf units that we saw. He has Beastmaster. I take patrol bonus off, take it down to 3. Very high magical resistance here as well, so that's very interesting. Other stats look fine, honestly. Next, we have the Sorcerer of Barad-dûr here, and this is kind of the last of our sorcerer line before we get into special recruit sorcerers or commanders. So let's look at this guy. 330 gold, 2 resources, 2 recruitment, 3 recruitment points, hit points 12, protection 3, magical resistance 14, morale 12. leadership of 120, magical leadership of 80. Honestly, probably won't have these guys leading armies just due to the fact of them having large. You can hold more. I'm sure you're going to be wanting these guys in battles. They do get a bonus onto them too, so that's good. And they're able to lead your magical beings as well. It might be nice depending on what you take. Um, I would take the patrol bonus off. I'd probably take the fear off. They're holy twos, good. They're sacred themselves, so you can go with some kind of. Well, I wouldn't necessarily go for some kind of mage build. So let's look at these 4 random magic skills here. So this is very nice. 100% chance of getting up to 4, of course. Nothing extra past that, which is fine. I think for 4 pass being 330 gold, I think that is fine. Being the fact that you start with a citadel is also good with the recruitment cost of being 3. So you can make one of these guys per turn. And I mean, you're not adding, it's not going, you're not going too crazy because if it's at 4, you'd be able to make an extra guy on that second turn, or I don't know, something along those lines. But yeah, I think 3, making one of these guys a turn would be very nice. I expect to have a lot of these if you were playing. Of course, priest level 2, if you get blood, you can go up to higher priest levels, of course, so that is nice. But these are all going to be good pass for you, honestly. Um, Fire 4, honestly, there's even a place for Fire 4. Okay, Flaming Arrows, Heat from Hell. There's other shit too, but I'm just not going to go through it. Or either Earth 2 or Earth 4s will be great. Earth Fire, um, Earth Death, Earth Blood. Okay, they're still going to work. Anything that has blood in it is going to be a Sabbath Master. And then on top of that, I mean, anything that's Earth 4 is just good to have as well. There's a couple of good kind of battlefield enchantments and things like that you're able to cast, especially more into the late game. So everything that either randoms death here or death here can be Horde of Skeleton casters. If they double up on death, they can be Rigor Mortis casters. If they have any blood, they can be Rigor Mortis casters. They can cast Darkness when they have Death 4. There's going to be so many things you can do with just having either a Death 2 or a Death 4. So that is very, very nice. Blood 4, you could do for different summons or things like that, being that high in blood already. Other than that, you have tons of availability to you just having the blood cross path along with any of these, because at that point, of course, you're a Sabbath Master. That'd be really, really good. So that is great. I think this is very, very nice here. I think this is going to be a kind of almost well-rounded mage. I feel like they did a very, very good job with this one here. I really like this one. So the Sorcerer of Mordor is a very, very nice unit we have here. Very cool. I do like that as your top end mage. So next we have the Black Numenorean Mason. So he is a Mason, siege bonus, 50. Yeah, that I believe all Masons have a very high resource cost, so that's fine. Looks good. Looks good. Even the siege bonus, I think all Masons have a really high siege bonus or siege defense, or I can't remember if they have siege defense or not. So that's great that you have a Mason because other than that, you're only going to be able to have primitive forts. So you're definitely going to be wanting to prioritize building a fort on a coastal province, so you're able to produce these Black Numenorean Masons. At that point, you'll be able to move or be able to turn all your primitive forts into actual castles. So that's going to be so much better for you. This is a very, very crucial part for you, I feel like. Next, we have the Nulla Bullock. This is a priest level 1 sailing unit. Oh, that's fancy there, especially having all your coastal fort. That's going to be very nice. Very, very nice. I'd take the patrol bonus off. And they have affliction resistance like the other ones. They have a blade of westernness. What is this? 19 magical damage. Nice. Do these guys have... Okay, they don't. Okay, whew. I would say that is very strong. To have magic weapons built into a sacred unit like that. This is just a Holy One priest that has this, so it's not too bad. 16 protection, great skills. I mean, this is a good 80 leadership commander here. Able to bless his own troops, have small raiding party, especially with sailing. This is a very, very nice unit. Very, very nice. And then lastly, we have the oh goodness, Nalazgir, Nalazigir, I don't know. Okay, here, 140 gold, nice. 112 gold per year, okay, I can understand. You have a 50% chance to random death or blood, but this is a blood to, or no, death to blood one chassis for 140 gold. Very nice. I do like this. Every one of these guys are going to be able to cast Horde Skeletons. Great, great in combat. Of course, there's other things other than Horde Skeletons. Horde Skeletons is a very, very nice spell to cast in Force, guys, if you don't know. Because I feel like you're going to be wanting to go up enchantment at some point for this nation. Like I said, Flaming Arrows because you have great cheap archers. Um, you have so many death mages. Of course, enchantment is going to do also fatigue spells, which you have fire and death for. So keep that in mind. Definitely, Death 2s are great. Much better than Death 1s. Death 3s are good, of course, because it's higher path, but if you can get Death 2s at a cheap cost like this at 140 gold, that is very nice. And possibly chancing a Death 3 or a Blood 2, that's great. Honestly, that's great. But I'd take the Patrol Bonus off. 11 Research, very average. But at this point, this is more of a combat mage than a researcher. And if anything, you can even put a few of these guys as a slave here onto like a death caster at that point. Um, just so they're taking less fatigue because they do have that death cross path. I wouldn't do too many though. Maybe just two to get them up one level because they are rather expensive in upkeep and stuff. I feel like you just use them to cast other things. And that is all the units we have here for Mordor, guys. Really, really cool nation I have here. I'm looking at. I'm sure there's actually probably even a couple custom spells here. Let's see if we have any. Our nation-oriented spells. I'm not seeing any so far. I thought they had some. Maybe it was just in construction. Yeah, they had the Gift of the Rings, which we already spoke about that. So I assume you would get Nazgul once you put this up or something along those lines. That is really, really cool. See anything in enchantment. So it looks like you might just have Gift of the Rings, not unless you have Special Blood. There's Day Without Dawn. Ordum, Mountain of Fire, the cloud seeps out from it, covering all the lands in the Dominion of Mordor. All the enemies shall quake, knowing that it means the end of the world is known. I wonder if this is like a darkness kind of effect here in the Dominion. But it does say they're shaking. I don't know if that's a morale type thing as well. Maybe it's even a combination. I don't know. I feel like that would be very, very nice. Day Without Dawn. So yeah, what I assume is like darkness for your Dominion. So that is pretty cool. Pretty cool there. I just looked at that. I don't see that. So we do have two national. Of course, I'm sure they'll work on those a lot more as this mod goes on. But yeah, very, very interesting here. As for your starting army, you have 20 of these spearmen, which are great. And then you have 20 of these orc archers, which are also pretty good. And this is on the Mork order or Mordor orc captain here. Yeah, 7. I didn't take any scales at all. There's nothing. But yeah, that's probably what it looked like if I was playing. Honestly, if we're looking for Chaffian, if not, let's see. Hold on. Ooh, yeah, I'd go 5 chariots instead of those guys. Never mind. I would definitely go 5 chariots. Uh, Honestly, I'd probably put them like right there. What do we want to fight? I guess I'd want to fight them. Well, we'll just go for the farm, of course, because probably be most best thing to go for. And of course, we won very handily. We did lose 4 of the chariots, but I mean, this is 130 gold province per turn. I knew the chariots were going to do good. I don't think I timed them right. I feel like if I pulled them a little bit farther back and had them Okay, so they're below average combat speed because they are size 1, I guess. But if I pulled the chariots back a little bit more, I would have much rather have had these guys kind of hit at the same time, which they're getting very close, but it looks like the chariots are going to hit first and take most of this damage back here. But they did a damn good job, though. My goodness, we can get a lot of chariots per turn with no scales. Wow. We need a we need something. Low leadership. No. See, I don't want to, because we're at 0 resources there, so we do have to give up a slot here. Oh my goodness, I don't want to give up 2. Maybe putting them like here almost. Attack rear. Oh shit, that won't work. There we go. Just kind of looking. Oh my goodness. Do not fight the heavy cab. Holy shit. That was not good. Well, okay, I thought maybe they attacked the guy in the back, but no, it looks like the archers just got really fucked there, and then my guy ran. I thought almost it was an HP route, but yeah, the archers got fucked because they're in front. I didn't want to take the minus penalty on everyone in the morale, though. Oh no, let's try again. We won. Lost a captain. And this, like I said, I've never played them before, but just trying with no scales. Huh. That's a, it's a throne there anyway. Ooh, what is that? What is that? We got Shelob. What? We just get a hero? Shelob has joined. Oh, that's so cool. So unintentional, cool unit we got here. Does kill pop, summons allies, assassin 3, dark vision, stealthy, poison, susceptible fire, throw bonus of 20. Probably take that off. And then fear 5. 80 hit point unit here. Hero we have. That is so cool. I like that. That is really neat. Hold on, what mobile unit do you have? Greystone, spider form. She lives on her own terms and not beholden by desires of Mordor. She will guard her chosen mountain province jealousy, and even creep up and kill the enemy commanders foolish enough to wander. Okay, so she's like a unit on her own because this is a mountain province and it's just a random event. I wonder if that's for every mountain province or just one. I mean, that's very cool. We'll just have her set to summon allies, I guess. That she is stealthy, so she would be stealthing, or she'd just sit there and wait for like an army to come by. That's a really neat kind of thing they have here. Now I wonder if it happens for another province there. But that's really cool. I do like that. Let's see what she gets. Oh, we won that. Very nice. Very handedly, I guess. Let's see what kind of unit she gets. So she does get these great spiders. Wow. Are they sacred? No, okay, they're not sacred. So they'd just be in the kind of province defense if they were attacked. But yeah, I think this be a really fun nation to play for sure. So definitely, guys, check it out. I think as far as the link goes, I might be able to put the link to their server in the description. I'm pretty sure the link to the server is in the showcase for the Dominions Middle Earth. So If you want to, go ahead and check that out. Really, really cool mod to play here. Just, I mean, I haven't seen anyone play games because I would like to see more nations really before you get a full fledged out game of everyone just playing Lord of the Rings nations. Because when you play with five, it's like, Um, I'd much rather play with a whole nine crew or not a group of nine because it kind of helps out sometimes. Depending on some maps, they're more directed towards the size of amount of players of nine, even for the smaller ones. So maybe even getting a like a one age type thing going on. We can play them in all the ages, I guess. But yeah, definitely looking forward to third age coming out. I think that one's gonna be really cool. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.